Hi everyone, so today we're gonna be doing a little still life of a lovely pair of pears. I wanted to do another cityscape, but yesterday Stefano went to the shop and he bought these pears with leaves on them, which he never does. Usually he takes the ugly fruit. But this time they were so pretty that I decided that I really need to draw them. So I have set up my still life and I have taken a photo of it so that you can also use it as a reference. And I'm going to start by selecting the palette. These are the colors that I will be using, so a very limited palette here. And the colors mostly are very juicy. So I want these pears to be really bright and fresh and not look all shriveled up and rotten. So that's the goal of this drawing. And I'm using an orange pastel pencil. Any color will do as long as it's not too different from the pears. And Canson Meton paper, the usual one. This is the reverse side, so it's the smooth one. So I'm going to sketch out my pears first, and for that, first I will decide approximately where my pears are going to be. So this is going to be the area where I want to draw them. And I need to place them in so that I have my pears that don't go out of the image. So I'm just loosely sketching in the size of my pears, and then I will refine the drawing. So just loosely drawing through so that I know how my pears are located. So this is where my drawing is going to be, and I see that I have enough space left here for the stalks, and I quite like my composition. So now I can refine my drawing, and I'm looking at those shapes on my pears that I see. So the bottom part, just looking at that shape, how it's constructed. So we can say that this is roughly a ball, a sphere, and here we have a little smaller sphere which is kind of connected through a cylinder to this pear. So that's one pear. And then here, seeing that this area here should be larger, so I'm moving it slightly to the side, and this pear comes slightly in front of the other pear. Okay, so we have another sphere shaping here, like so, and I see that they're almost at the same height, so we can leave it there. Then there's a dip for the stalk, and it goes like so. And I really like this tilt of the pear. It took me some 5 minutes to actually set up the still life for it to be the way I like it. So here I have my other stalk. Again, this tilts higher up and the stalk grows from somewhere from here. And then there are those beautiful, beautiful leaves. Some of them are, and I really don't like this stalk. I'm gonna move it just a bit so it doesn't point directly at the corner, otherwise it's gonna drag the composition out. So this is my stalk, and here goes one leaf, and it overlaps the pear. And then we have another leaf. One of the most common mistakes I see beginner artists do is draw leaves like we are used to drawing them since we are little. So leaves are almost never facing us straight on. They curve away from us. So they create these shapes that are never going to be this shape of children's drawing. So leaves are never going to be in this shape, almost never, unless you're looking straight on at a leaf. Like, let's say, you can see that this is another pear. Here, the leaf is curled. If it were completely flat and looking at us straight on, only then we would be able to draw it like that. But this leaf, first of all, it has a curve, it bends and twists, and basically we see a shape that our eye registers as a leaf. So here, when you're drawing leaves, the best advice I can give you is draw the shapes that you see. So here I see almost half an ellipse here, and then curves on itself. And then we have also the cast shadows, like so. I took a very dramatic lighting here, so I set it up with light that is very close to my object, and we actually can mark. So this is the area of highlight, and here is the area of highlight. And here there's going to go a shadow. So this is, if you've seen the Apple tutorial that I did previously, you know what I'm talking about. So this is the core shadow that helps us understand the form. So if we don't have this game between shadow and light, we will never be able to portray the form. So it's going to be an illustration more than a drawing. So the first thing that I do is I'm going to take my mid-tone value, this yellow here, and I'm going to start adding that mid-tone to my pear. So I'm going on that edge where I see light and shadow onto one pear, and the same thing here. So I see where that pear curves away from the light. I'm adding my mid-tone. Like so. Then I go into a lighter yellow. We're gradually starting to build it up towards the light. Like so. There we go. Now I'm going to go into a darker color, so this is an orange, and I'm going to start adding that shadow color. So everywhere where I see that pear curve away from the light. Like so. And also we do the same thing here. I'm not worried about the reflected light yet. I'm just adding the color of the shadow. Like so. And I'm not looking at the local color of the pear yet. I will be adding those nuances slightly later. I just need to establish the value relationship. Already now you can see that it looks three-dimensional. Now I'm going into this brownish color, and I'm going to start adding it into the shadow, but very few. I want to mix it in together with my orange. And now we can start blending. So I'm using my finger, and I'm going to go from the lightest value of my pears. I'm going to blend that first. In circular movements, not pressing hard, so that I can fill the tooth of the paper gradually. Like so. I'm going to blend this area too. So I'm working also, the best practice that you can do is to work on your drawing, on the whole of your drawing at the same time, not leaving it, like not doing one part until the end, then another part until the end. If you're working on it at the same time, it's going to look more together, so it's not going to fall apart into areas. I'm cleaning my finger. I'm going to start with this lighter color here on this side that I did. The orange first, and then I'll start blending the orange together with this brownish color. So it's kind of a greener version of yellow, dark yellow, but greener. Like so. And look, already we have the value forming on our pear. Doing the same here. Okay, so we have two pairs that already are having a tonal value in them. So here I see that it gets slightly darker on this side because this pair is also blocking the ray of light slightly. Like so. I'm gonna add more of this orange color here on top. We can start building up the layers. And I can start adding some reds also. So into the shadow, I'm going to start adding some reds. Cleaning my hands all the time. Like so. I can adjust a hint of red to warm it up on this side where I see that there's a bit of red happening there. Like so. I'm gonna take my kneaded eraser. I can erase if I went too far. Like so. Also, this pair has just a hint of red, so I'm adding this hint of red here. And also a bit here. So we don't have to copy it identical to the pair that we see. We can add those reds where we think they would look best. So I'm warming up this area also, so it has to be quite light, but at the same time it has a bit of red in there. Okay, and now I'm going to start adding some greens. So in this shadow here, it's quite dark, this area, because the pair turns away from the light over here. And also this area where it comes close to the other pair, it is quite dark. Like so. So I want to intensify on purpose this area of darkness in between the pairs. This is going to let me convey the information that one pair is in front of the other. And then this area here is closer to us. And we need to darken it up so it's like a sphere and it's closer to us, so that we need to make sure that we darken it up so it kind of brings the pair forward. Here we have some reflected light happening. Going to add this light yellow and light green also, because we have some greener areas in our pair there too. Also in the transition here. Okay, I can clean up a bit the edges if they got dirty, so that I can keep my image clean at all times. And here I will use this brighter orange to kind of separate the two pairs. And then let's start adding lights onto our lighter area. Here. I'm going back into my green and I'm adding it here as well to darken up that shadow. And as the shadow curves away from us, it becomes lighter. So here it's going to be the darkest because it's the closest to us. The same way as here. And also here because there's the occlusion shadow happening. So the light doesn't manage to penetrate in there. Now I'm going to take my brightest color and add those highlights, like so. And we need to add some reflected light onto our pears closer to the bottom here, but it doesn't have to be very bright. So I'm adding this lighter green here and here. Like so. Again, using my kneaded eraser to clean up the image if I went in too far, especially when you're rubbing things, it can get dirty. So cleaning up all the image. And now we can start adding marks that will actually leave texture. Like so here, just a bit over here. And I'm actually going to use an even darker green over here to create that sense of shape. Okay. Now our pears seem as if they're floating in the air. So for that, we need to take our dark, I'm gonna use the same colors that I used for the pear for my darkest value here. So the shadow right under the pear is going to be the darkest, and then it's going to fade out into transparency. So this is what's going to ground our pears on the paper. And then I'm going into a very thin veil of green. And the further away it gets, the more transparent it becomes. Like so. Very gently over here in between the pears. Like so. Cleaning my hands. And this color here, this yellow, actually no wait, this one that we used for the highlights, it's very close to the color of the paper, so I can blend the color of my shadow together with this color of the paper to kind of pull it out into transparency. Like so. Here it's going to be also more transparent, further away from us. So we're lightening up that shadow color. The closer to us, the shadow, the darker it is. The further away from us and the further away from the object it becomes, the lighter it is. So it's very easy. Okay. So I'm gonna, again, darken this bit here, and also here it's quite dark. There is a shadow. Okay. Intensifying this bit here, so we show that our pears are actually standing on the surface of the table. And what we can do now is add the leaves. Actually, I'm looking here, I need a bit of red here just to darken this edge a bit up. Like so. Maybe just a bit of this brighter yellow into the light. The same way here, just a bit of this bright yellow into our light. And here it's gonna get a bit darker as the pear kind of curves away from us. Adding that reflex here, also a bit lighter reflex here, but not too much because otherwise it's gonna look wrong. And here I'm gonna pull in that shadow a bit because it's going to still be reflected off of the pear, even though there's a reflex of light there. Okay, here I'm gonna add this paper color. And I can fix the shape of my pear using the color, the pastel with that is the same color as the color of the paper, or the background color, if you're using a background color. Okay, so here I see that we don't have enough darkness over here. So, I'm quite happy with that. And let's intensify this brighter yellow on the edge here to actually bring this pear forward towards us. Okay, now we can start adding the stalks and the leaves. So I have my green color that is quite dark, this dark yellow I would call it. I'm going to start adding this stalk here. And then it has this almost yellow light on it on this side, like so. And I will even take my bright color to mix in with that, like so. Okay, and then here where it attaches to the pear, it's going to be darker as there's a kind of a dip into the thing. Okay, and here we lack some of that light to show that shape. Okay, next is the other stalk. I'm using the same color again. I'm not worried about the leaves now, I'm just drawing where I see the stalk actually growing. And the darker bit is over here. Like so. If I need to remove some of the pastel again, kneaded eraser, it works perfectly well. Like so, if I went in too far. Okay. Gonna add a bit of light to it with the same color that we used for the pears. So I want to use a really limited palette here. Okay. And now we can add the leaves. So there are light leaves. One leaf actually is light, as this one. There's closest to us. What I need to do is I need to create that silhouette of a leaf. And then we have these browner leaves here. And there's some green in that leaf as well. And then another brown leaf over here. There's also some light hitting it, like so. And then we have the darker part of the leaf curling in, like so. And one important thing to notice is that this leaf, inside it's going to be darker as it curves, and it also casts a shadow. So I'm going to take my green. I'm going to see where that shadow approximately is going to be and place a little shadow from the stalk and from the leaf on my pear. Like so. Then I need to add some of that yellow back in here. It's actually make that pear visible. Like so. And I can add just a bit of darkness onto this leaf here, where it slightly curves. And some lights, the same lights that we used for our pear, like so. I'm just fixing the shape of that pear. Okay. Just want to add a bit of this green there as well, just to make the shape whole again. And here we can add just a hint at those edges of the leaf that are inside. Okay, and now what's left to do is to remove the unnecessary marks. So our drawing is all pretty and clean. As I said, we can use, in places where we don't manage to take off the pastel, we can use the color of the paper, or if you chose a background color, you can use that one to correct shapes. So for example, here where the stalk is, I really want the stalk to be thinner here. So I'm just using the same value of the paper, so color that is very close to the value of the paper, to add here. So that our drawing looks very pretty and not dirty. Oh, that's what happens when you don't clean your hands. Okay. And I actually want to make this fruit kind of glow a bit. And to add that strong reflex, let's make it a bit blurry here, so it looks as if our fruit is a bit glowing. Okay, also here, just to take away that dirt. And I think we are done. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you guys very soon in the next tutorial. Please let me know what it is that you would like to draw next, so that we can do something interesting together. Thank you for watching. Bye.